All right, so this is the new moon in Capricorn. This is the last day of Capricorn too, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So hopefully this all ends soon, all this stuff. This is not a usual new moon. It's literally like all of the personal planets plus Pluto are in Capricorn right now. So it's not surprising that everybody's feeling everything all at once. Seriously. So there's 6 planets in Capricorn. So it's kind of like an all hands on deck. And it's kind of interconnecting every single aspect of our life. So it's not surprising that everybody's kind of been busy, having some anxiety, just kind of, everything piling on. Seems like ceaselessly without end and just one thing on top of another. This is a new moon. Usually we do intentions. If we're looking for a really good time to plant long-term seeds, this is it because of all these planets there. Like, it literally does not get any more supportive than that. So that being said, new moons are times of seeding, not manifestation. So what we need to do here is to plan, to design, and dream in alignment with our future, not with the present. This is not a time for I want this now. It's a time for I'm building this for where I'm going. So very Capricorn in nature, right? We're planners. Capricorn helps us set goals. They're ambitious, but achievable. So unlike some of the other signs, Capricorn always has a plan. Not only intentions and wishful thinking, but concrete steps, structure, and a realistic path to actually get there. And what's really unique about this new moon is the stellium alignment. So what a stellium is, some astrologers define it as 3 or more planets in a sign. Some say 4 or more. Whatever type of astrologer you are, this is a stellium because there's 6. So I think 3 is probably right. I mean, that's a third of the planets basically. So that's what a stellium is. We've got 6 planets in the sign. So we don't only have the sun and the moon. We've got Mercury, Venus, Mars, and Pluto as well. When all the personal planets align with the sun, there's no Venus wandering by and by herself saying, "Oh, I don't like this," or I don't feel like it. We don't have Mercury arguing, but my mind tells me something else, or Mars protesting, "I want to do it differently." No. When there's this level of alignment, all the planets agree on the purpose. So this is when we mobilize all of our wants, needs, resources, and drive toward the same goal. There will be no internal sabotage, no mixed signals, no second guessing. So this opens up a new cycle that leads us into 2 of the most profound shifts of the year. So for this reason, this moon may at first feel more like a closing than a new beginning. And that's kind of exactly what's happening with this moon here. So the closing energy comes from both Saturn and Neptune, which are kind of hovering in the final degrees of Pisces, and they're getting ready to move over into Aries. So Neptune goes into Aries on January 26th, and Saturn will follow in February on the 13th. These shifts will usher in a new collective of energies to work with what will stimulate and activate different facets of our karmic journeys. So these shifts will rattle the fabric of our lives and open new portals of discovery. Let's get into some of the details of some of the planets. So Mercury, the planet of communication, is activated, giving us the confidence to speak up and to get clear about what is on our minds. So perhaps we've been storing away ideas or resentments, thoughts, feelings. Maybe we've not known how to feel about something or how to handle a situation that requires us to share. This moon will act as a clarifier. It will help us understand how we really feel. It will support us to go within and sit with all that is coming up so that we can make sense of how to approach what lies before us. Capricorn is a very practical, down-to-earth quality that can help us weed through our emotions and a blurring of the facts. So it's straightforward energy, allows us to see the essence of our situation without any sugarcoating or glossing over of the truth. And isn't that so like a Capricorn? Yeah, we don't mince words. Sorry, just call it the way it is. Hard truths, like it or not. So we can channel some of this energy by keeping our communication to the point, precise, but aligned with integrity. Capricorn energy can be harsh at times, so be mindful of how you speak to others and yourself. Pay attention to where you're being too hard on yourself. Mars, Venus, and Pluto continue to bring a spotlight on relationships, which have been a very strong area of focus. And remember, relationships don't just mean partners. It could mean work relationships, friendships, siblings. It's all relationships, not just romantic. So a few days ago, Venus and Mars joined forces in Capricorn. So Venus and Mars are very personal planets. So that's why the stellium is so powerful too, right? Because the closer planets are the more personal ones. The outer ones are more kind of like generational, larger picture energies. So Venus and Mars joined Capricorn. So this has brought to the surface long-standing dynamics that are no longer sustainable. It's emphasized the present impact of past conditioning surrounding relationships, and it's asking us to restructure our relating patterns. So these themes will continue to be front and center for the upcoming month. Also, in the past few days, we've had a chance to take an honest inventory of our relationships and attachment patterns. So now the invitation for us is to actively begin to establish new ones by exploring new ways of asserting ourselves, establishing boundaries, and restructuring existing connections. Pluto's proximity and its tight conjunction to Venus supports a profound transformation in how we relate to one another. It brings the spotlight on how the current collective climate is reshaping the way we connect with other people, our values, and our relationships to money and resources. This alignment invites us to question outdated power dynamics, attachments, and values, and it encourages us to notice where fear, dependency, or the need for control are determining our choices. So in Aquarius, Pluto and Venus ask us to gravitate towards systems and communications that are non-hierarchical, authentic, and based on shared desire to support progress and evolution. Mercury highlights the importance of exploring new ways to communicate, new ways of thinking, and being more intentional when navigating conflict and expressing our feelings, needs, and desires. And remember, I had said just a little bit earlier, we kind of got to watch how the messaging comes across because Capricorn can be harsh. So maybe we kind of got to just be a little gentler. We've got Chiron in Aries. This is bringing up unresolved pain and old wounds to the surface. It is increasing the friction between survival strategies that we've established in the past and what is required from us to grow in the present. We might experience tension with others as we try to assert ourselves, set boundaries, or pursue our desires. Nevertheless, any issues we experience now are an opportunity to start establishing patterns and habits that support our healing and our growth. So remember, Chiron is about healing. It's the wounded healer. So this new moon is also forming a harmonious alignment to Uranus and Saturn. So these alignments help us access inspiration and guidance to support our efforts in creating a new structure for our lives that is more meaningful and sustainable. As Saturn, which is the ruler of Capricorn, and this moon completes its transit through Pisces and approaches his next 0 degree in Aries, we're being asked to ground our dreams in reality and release those illusions and delusions that have been keeping us suspended between thought and action. So this is a pivotal moment of maturation for all of us. Until the exact Saturn-Neptune conjunction occurs on February 20th, the invitation for us is to allow the dissolution of outdated structures and systems trusting the necessary endings that are unfolding, and making space for the seeds that are now being planted. While the Capricorn new moon asks us to orient towards the kind of life we desire to build and commit to, the Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Pisces invites us to reflect on what we need to let go of for it to be possible. And then comes Pluto. Pluto takes what might still feel like an abstract idea or intention and drags it into the depths of our soul. When Pluto gets involved, we can't help but come face to face with what's most primal, raw, and true inside of us. Depending on our personal relationship with Pluto, this process can feel uncomfortable. It can surface buried emotions, uneasiness, especially if where we are now in life is not quite aligned with who we know deep down we're meant to be. But this process is also extremely liberating. When we face this deepest truth, all the stories, all the excuses, all the lies we've been telling ourselves, all the inauthentic facades we've been hiding behind, they suddenly lose their power. They simply cannot survive the encounter with truth. Once Pluto's truth lands, nothing else matters. This won't come as a neat neocortex style insight, but as a deeper knowing, a visceral recognition of who you are and what you are here to do. This encounter with the deeper part of you, the part that knows what's best for you without negotiation, can activate something primordial. It can light a fire, ignite a spark, and make it impossible to keep living inside old stories that no longer fit. As our old identities collapse, the psyche stops cooperating with who you thought you were. And from that 0 point energy, something entirely new can begin to take shape. And with the Saturn-Neptune conjunction at 0 Aries, which is just around the corner, change is no longer optional. A door is closing and a new cycle is beginning with new rules, new priorities, and new opportunities. By the end of 2026, things will look very different from what we've known. This new moon gives us a moment to tune ourselves to that shift, to take what has worked in our past life, find a new container, a new way of expressing it in the world that we've been stepping into. So to kind of summarize, this new moon is encouraging us to create a steady foundation for the year ahead. Focus on our long-term aspirations and move in the direction of the reality we aspire to build. This is an invitation to renovate our commitment to ourselves and take responsibility to mature in ways that are necessary in order for us to keep growing. It's also an opportunity to create a new relationship with our internal authority, with being in charge of our lives, and notice where we give our power away and seek validation outside of ourselves. Capricorn reminds us that true authority comes from self-trust and integrity, from choosing to show up for ourselves even when it is uncomfortable or inconvenient. This sign teaches us that growth should not be rushed and that success is not accidental. Success is not something that happens to us. It is a result of our efforts through time and our willingness to take responsibility to do what needs to be done. At the same time, this new moon reminds us of the importance of honoring our limits, respecting our energy, and building our lives in ways that are truly sustainable rather than driven by burnout or external pressure and expectations. When setting out your intentions, I would strongly recommend journaling this time as well. And maybe it'll help you decipher what needs to be let go of, and so that you can focus that energy on setting the stage and taking the steps you need to move in the direction that you're intending to, or that your internal authenticity is telling you is real for you now. Because I think a lot of times we tend to want to ignore that because we're so busy with life and we kind of keep putting that at the forefront. No, we need to be true to ourselves. This is the time where everything is in alignment. to be our authentic selves, to do what we actually want to do, set the stage for that, start detailing the steps on how you're going to do that and move forward there. Whatever your intentions are, they're not going to be something that's going to happen immediately. So set the groundwork for that, and in your journaling, maybe start thinking about what steps you need to do to get where you're going. One of the things that I put in, and one of the things that I would like to do, is to start doing tarot reads on the YouTube for each of the signs monthly. So that is something that's it's specific, and you can kind of set a plan on how to do it, right? So I'm thinking to do it for each sign and to do it monthly, so that way I'm not being overwhelmed, and it's something concrete and it's something that's doable. So this is why I say, like, try to set steps up or think about how you can move forward in a way that's going to be workable. We don't want to overwhelm ourselves. Things are already nuts as it is. The signs that are most affected this time around, I think it was the same during the full moon. It's the cardinal signs: Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. So these signs will experience significant new beginnings in one or more areas of their lives and have the opportunity to restructure their reality and set new projects into motion. So the Capricorn new moon invites them to align their actions with their long-term priorities and reminds them to make sure that what they are building is something that adds meaning to their lives. So that said, let's go into what each of the signs have in store. And remember, this is for our sun, moon, or rising signs. Aries. This new moon activates the most visible and consequential part of your chart: your public life, career direction, and long-term reputation. You may feel pressure to define yourself more clearly, what you're working toward, what you want to be known for, and what you're no longer willing to tolerate professionally. Capricorn energy asks you to trade impulse for strategy. That doesn't mean shrinking yourself, it means choosing your battles wisely. You're being invited to step into authority even if you don't feel fully ready yet. Take the lead and show the world your power. Taurus. This new moon asks you to expand your definition of security by stretching beyond what's familiar. Capricorn activates your sector of growth, belief systems, and long-term vision, encouraging you to think bigger than your current circumstances. You may feel drawn toward education, travel, publishing, or a philosophy that reframes how you see your life. What's being initiated now isn't just a goal, it's a new way of orienting yourself toward the future. If you've been playing it safe out of fear of destabilizing what you've built, this lunation gently challenges that instinct. Growth doesn't require recklessness, but it does require courage. Switch up your routine and take chances. Gemini. This new moon highlights themes of shared resources, intimacy, and long-term commitments, financial and emotional alike. You should feel encouraged by this new moon to trust others. Capricorn energy asks you to get honest about what you owe, what you're owed, and where responsibility is uneven. You may be renegotiating agreements around money, labor, or emotional investment. This is not a light or casual lunation for you. It's about depth, trust, and sustainability. If you've been avoiding a conversation because it feels heavy, now is the time to approach it with maturity and clarity. Avoidance costs more in the long run. Learn how to share and take action. Cancer. This new moon is affecting your 7th house of partnerships, which means that you're going to discover who is on your side and who is not. It is not meant to be as dramatic as it seems, because there will be subtle instances in which you begin to notice who your opponent is. The more you pay attention to the nuances of their behavior, the easier it will be to suss out who you can trust. Pay attention to how people are acting, to understand their behavior, and make notes on who and what you should watch out for. Use your intuition to guide you toward a place of knowledge and understanding. Throughout the process, be kind to yourself. Remember, hindsight is 20/20. If you knew then what you know now, things would be different. but you wouldn't learn the lessons you were supposed to at the time the universe wants you to. Clarity now prevents resentment later. Leo. This new moon invites you to take your daily life seriously. Capricorn energizes your routines, work habits, and health, asking whether your current systems actually support the life you want. This is about discipline, not punishment. Small changes now can yield meaningful results later. You may feel motivated to streamline your schedule, set firmer boundaries at work, or commit to habits that support your physical and mental well-being. If burnout has been creeping in, consider this a chance to reset, not by doing more, but by doing what matters consistently. Activate your productivity to recharge your fitness, diet, and health goals. Virgo. This new moon activates your creative and romantic sector, but Capricorn brings seriousness to these areas. You're being asked to invest, not fantasize, when it comes to joy, passion, and self-expression. What are you willing to commit to nurturing over time? You may feel inspired to take a creative project more seriously or to redefine what pleasure means beyond feeling enjoyment. In relationship, this lunation favors clarity about intentions and long-term compatibility. Have more fun and let out your sassy side. Libra. This new moon turns your attention inward toward home, family, and emotional foundations. Capricorn energy asks you to take responsibility for your sense of security, internally and externally. You may be restructuring your living situation, redefining family dynamics, or healing patterns rooted in the past. This isn't about perfection, it's about stability. If something in your personal life feels shaky, this lunation offers an opportunity to shore it up with boundaries, honesty, and practical planning. You may feel as though you're being pulled in two different directions. On the one hand, you want to assert your confidence and stand in your autonomy without taking on others' demands. But there is a chance that you'll also desire peace and not wish to argue your emotions. Turn your phone off or put it on Do Not Disturb at night so you can sleep without drama. Scorpio. This new moon sharpens your voice and your thinking. Capricorn activates your communication sector, encouraging clarity, intentionality, and responsibility in how you express yourself. Words carry weight now. Choose them carefully. You may be initiating a writing project, important conversation, or long-term learning goal. This is an excellent time to commit to refining a skill or saying what needs to be said with maturity rather than intensity. Now is the time to speak up. Sagittarius. This new moon highlights money, values, and self-worth. Capricorn energy asks you to take a realistic look at your resources, financial and internal, and decide how you want to build lasting security. This isn't about restriction, it's about sustainability. You may feel called to create a budget, negotiate compensation, or commit to a financial plan that supports your long-term goals. At the same time, this lunation asks you to define what you truly value and whether your current choices reflect that. Assess your budget and find ways to make your wealth grow. Capricorn. This is your new moon and it's deeply personal. You're being invited to reset your identity, priorities, and long-term direction. This isn't about reinvention for its own sake. It's about alignment. Who are you becoming and what are you willing to commit to becoming them? With so much emphasis on responsibility, you may feel the weight of expectation, your own and others. Use this moment to define success on your terms, not through comparison. Step into your power, trust your inner motivations. Luck is on your side. Aquarius. This new moon invites rest, reflection, and strategic withdrawal. Capricorn activates your subconscious sector, asking you to release outdated patterns and quietly prepare for what's next. Not everything needs to be public right now. You may feel drawn to slow down, reassess commitments, or process emotions you've been bypassing. This isn't stagnation, it's incubation. Creating structure around rest can be just as productive as taking action. Self-love and reflection will energize you. And Pisces. This new moon highlights community, collaboration, and long-term aspirations. Capricorn energy asks you to get serious about your dreams, not by rushing them, but by choosing the right people and structure to support them. You may be refining goals related to networking, group projects, or your role within a community. Quality matters more than quantity now. This is also a powerful time to define what success looks like for you within a collective context. Build your network and socialize amongst your crew. So, as I was preparing for today, I didn't have a meditation ready, and yesterday I decided that I was going to pull some cards instead and see what the next few days or week have in store for us. Because I think between journaling a little bit yourselves and kind of taking a step back to go inward and setting your intentions, probably that will suffice. But I am planning to do a couple of meditations and post them. So I don't mind if somebody wants to give me a poke by the weekend to say, hey, you owe us a meditation. Just putting that out there. So let's see what kind of cards we got. It's interesting because it just confirms everything I said. First card that came up was the Ten of Pentacles. So this one is about your security, your stability, the work that we do, financial security. It's all there. We are setting ourselves up for all of this right now. And the way to do it with the Four of Swords is to go internal and know what our higher self or what our gut tells us is our true calling and where we need to focus those energies, because that is where we're going to find success. So not just a job that we have or maybe the promotions that we want or something, but like even for me, like doing this I like doing this for me is awesome. I love it. And I think everybody here kind of realizes that I do. And I want to thank you all for bearing with me and helping me gain some confidence in doing this, because this is what I like. This is what I want to do. I want to help people in this way. This is what I think I was meant to do. So I'm setting, my steps to get there. And finally, the sun. What does that tell us? Our sun is the center of our world. It is what is life-giving. It is what allows us to live on this planet. Without the sun, there would be no life here. The sun allows for the seasons, it allows for day and night, it allows for plants to grow, it allows for everything to live, survive, and thrive. So we've got the Ten of Pentacles kind of setting that groundwork for what we want to do with our lives. And it's not necessarily just that it's going to be something that will be financially rewarding. It will be spiritually rewarding. And I think in a way that's just as important, maybe even more so than the financial reward. And how do we get there? With the Four of Swords, going internal, taking that step back, looking at what is truly in us that we want to do. And once we figure that out, we've got the sun there. We're going to have everything. That is what we're meant to be doing. That's where joy is. That's where we need to go. So with that, I think I'm going to close off the video and take comments if you have any.